We're talking to Scott Turner today, State Representative from Frisco and Rockwall.
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Turner is going to be running for Speaker of the House against Joe Strauss in the upcoming legislative session. Mr. Turner, welcome to Breitbart, Texas.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate that.
So, a lot of people are not really familiar. You know, the Speaker of the House race is not one that shows up on the ballot. Voters don't get to vote on it. It's selected by the state reps.
Right.
How do you run a campaign for Speaker of the House?
Well, that's true. A lot of people don't know, how the speaker actually becomes a speaker. It's an internal vote, and the campaign very simply is this: you go and you meet with the members, you talk to them, you build your relationship with the members, you build trust with the members. And I'm telling you what I believe is the correct way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And you spend time with them in their districts. You share your heart with them, your vision for Texas, my vision for Texas. You listen to them, the needs of their constituency, the needs of their district. And then on the first day of session, the first vote that we take is the vote for who will be the Speaker of the House. And a lot of people, the constituency, don't understand that it's not an external vote, but it's an internal vote. But the people do have a voice in it. That's how they vote, in supporting and speaking, voicing their support for who they want the speaker. And so it's an internal vote with an external influence and encouragement.
So the readers of our publication and grassroots people across the state, if they're interested in being involved in this race, they can contact their state representative and express their views.
Absolutely.
And apply
Yes, sir.
appropriate pressure.
Yeah, and they can call me or email me if they have any questions,
Mm-hmm.
About my background or who I am or what I believe in or what I see going forward for the state, because I'm a believer in transparency and and being upfront with people, as we did tonight, sharing, hey, this is who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I've overcame in my life. These are the things I believe in. Although the constituency doesn't vote for the speaker still represents 26 million people in Texas. So feel free to call me.
Mm-hmm. Well, brings me to an interesting question. You're a freshman. You're just finishing your freshman term, and there's a lot of legislators in the Texas legislature that have been there for a long time,
right.
And some of them might think it's their turn or something like that. What compelled you to step up to this challenge to take on the Speaker of the Texas House?
Well, there are legislators that have been there a lot longer than me, and we all have the right to run for Speaker. And there may have been some in the past who have thought about it. There may be some now, who are thinking about it. And they have every right to do so, and they have every right to file their name to run.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't take long, when you have life experiences, and me in particular, in business and professional sports and ministry, and I'm a freshman, getting out of my freshman year, going into my sophomore year in the House. But I've lived, I've had a lot of great experiences, and I've seen, great leadership, and I've seen, not so great leadership. And so when I came to the House last session, I had a phenomenal experience learning and being a part of the process and creating new relationships and friendships. But my number one reason to be in the Texas House is to serve the people of Texas and to serve them with humility and transparency and integrity and honesty, and to push and advocate, for the principles that I stand for and that my constituents stand for and that a high percentage of Texans stand for. And that's why I'm in the Texas House. And to run for Speaker, what motivated me is that the people are speaking. The people of Texas are speaking that there is they're advocating for a changing of the guard in Texas, a change in leadership, more conservative, principled leadership in the Texas House, and we work for the people.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I was encouraged. I was asked, if I would think about it, and I too spent a lot of time in prayer and fasting and consulting my family, those that have gone before me in politics. And so this did not come, this was not a fly-by-night decision. This came with much, much counsel, seeking wisdom and prayer, and obviously permission from my wife. She has to be on board. But my motivation is, there's 26 million people in Texas, and it's growing every day. And for the posterity of this state, we need new leadership.
Now, Speaker Strauss would say that he's passed a lot of very conservative legislation during his tenure as Speaker. Other people would say there's a lot of very conservative legislation that's been blocked by the Speaker.
Right.
What would a Scott Turner legislative session look like in terms of what are your priorities in terms of legislative activity, agenda items, and things like that?
Well, it's no secret I'm very passionate about education and business and young people. And to give children in Texas better educational opportunities for them and their parents. Because I believe that every child in our state deserves the opportunity to be educated properly and to give them every opportunity to fulfill their maximum potential. But a lot of times politics and bureaucracy stands in the way of that. And I am not concerned about the institution of education. My heart and my concern is the children. And I think there's a paradigm shift that needs to happen. Mm-hmm. And also business, being in business, I see what it is to not only start and grow a business and to work in a business and the burdens that are put on business, in particular the margins tax, and other tax that are put on business. I believe the business need to be free to reinvest back into their own companies to create jobs. And so another focus will be, tax relief on business and tax relief on hardworking Texans, mm-hmm. That go to work every day to take care of their families and their children and their homes and their communities, to look at those things. Transportation is going to be a huge issue. Transportation funding and maintenance and operation in Texas is going to be huge. We've got 1,100 people a day moving to Texas. And so
I just ran into a bunch of them driving over here.
Yeah, I did too. And so transportation will be a big issue. Water, again, will be a huge issue. Right on crime, juvenile justice, and things such as that will come up during the session. And we have to be prepared with the right mindset that we're not going to just go along to get along and that status quo is not good enough, because we have some serious issues that face this state. And we can literally be the gold standard, the leaders of the country, in pushing conservative, principled policy and getting rid of politics, mm-hmm. but policy that suits our state, because our eyes in America are in Texas, and we have the opportunity to be the leaders if we do the right thing.
Now, in the past, I think it would be fair to say that Speaker Strauss has rewarded his loyal followers with committee chairmanships, and the Democrat base of the state legislature has been a recipient of a lot of those types of positions. How would you go about structuring committee chairman's positions and other leadership positions within the House so that the grassroots can be more effective in working with the legislature to get things done?
That's a good question. Right now, I'm not allowed to speak about committee chairmanships, right. Because of the statute. But as a leader, as a servant leader, mm-hmm. and a team member and a team builder, I think that, one, you have to know who your teammates are, and you have to know who you're working with, mm-hmm. know what they're passionate about, their gifts and their talents and their expertise, and put people in a position to not only where they can succeed, that's a small part of it, but to where they can be most useful and beneficial for the whole team, and that team is called Texas. Mm-hmm. And put people in a position to where, as the speaker, you're undergirding the members in order that they can serve their constituency better. I'm a conservative Republican, and everybody knows that. And people on both sides of the aisle know exactly where I stand. And I've made no qualms about it. I'm fair and I'm just. And if you're going to have a good team, then humility and the ability to delegate properly is very important. And you have to get rid of the political favors. because political favors don't care about Texans. And that's my heart. Put people in the right position to succeed in order that Texas can be the best it can be. That's what my heart is.
Now, I heard your life story earlier today, and I'd like to, maybe in a future interview with you, to sit down and go into that a little bit, because I think that's a very inspirational story for people to learn, not only about who you are, but for many people that would be watching this, who they could become, and why some of the political labels don't apply to you that might otherwise in certain circumstances. So I'd like to come back to that as we do this another time. Border security is a very important issue in Texas, and it's not, part of it's about illegal immigration, but part of it's about the massive criminal element.
That's right.
The cartels, the human trafficking, the rapes and murders that are happening down there. How would you work with the Senate and the governor to come up with an effective strategy for Texas to enforce the border between Texas and Mexico?
I'm glad you asked, because I just came from the Rio Grande Valley. I did a tour of the border, a helicopter tour, and I was on the river in the gunboat with DPS. And I wanted to go down there and see it for myself, because you hear of the issues, you hear of the problems, but I wanted to see it for myself. One, that I could share it with my colleagues, and two, that I know how to speak about it and to advocate on behalf of securing our border. The drug problem, the drug trafficking, the human trafficking, the drug cartel, the sex trafficking is all real. And the DPS is doing the very best job they can. And we have some dedicated, extremely dedicated men and women, and the Department of Public Safety. We have to make more of an issue and put more importance, if you will, on border security. Because what's happening on our border between Texas and Mexico, for so long we thought, well, that's just down there. That doesn't affect what's going on up north in our state, but it actually does. And so we need to secure our border. And so working with local law enforcement, working with DPS, working with the Texas Rangers, the lieutenant governor, the Senate, there has to be a collective effort whereby, again, politics and bureaucracy do not get in the way of protecting our people. As you can tell, I'm passionate about that, because I just came from down there. And there are young women and children that inhumane things are being done to them. And I don't want to stand for it. And so whatever has to be done to secure our border, to protect the lives of the innocent people in our state, and to reduce the amount of deaths that are going on, fatalities, with chases, with home invasions. When I say chases, meaning pursuits, because we have DPS agents who are in pursuits almost every day of people smuggling drugs here. And we're losing innocent people. So when you say working with the lieutenant governor and the governor and the Senate and the House, I absolutely am committed to doing that, because I've seen it with my own eyes.
I think this has been an eye-opening day for me to get to know you and learn a little bit about your values and principles. I'd like to invite you to come back to Breitbart, Texas again as we move through this session. You know, we're almost through the primary season and into the general election, and then into your election.
Yes,
so is there anything else right now as a first introduction to our readers that you'd like to say to the readers of Breitbart, Texas?
Well, the one thing I would say is I welcome people to look me up, and to learn about, who I am, to call me, to email me, and somebody's calling me right now. And the one thing I want people to know about me is that I love Texas. I'm a fourth generation Texan, and I love America. And I have been very blessed in my life to have the background and the platform that I do. And I have faced many trials and struggles, and I've had a lot of victories. And the conglomeration, if you will, of those, I want to use those experiences and my heart for people and bring them to the legislature and say, you know what? You can be a man of integrity. You can be a Christian. You can be someone who wants to do things the right way and still be a servant leader in government, in spite of what people say. And that's the message I want to get out. I want people to know I love Texas. And whatever I have to do to leave Texas in a better place than it was when I found it, I'm willing.
We'll look forward to talking to you more as we move through this. Thank you very much for joining us at Breitbart.
Thank you.